Let's go to Forest. Come on, because it's been a couple of weeks since I had a moan about them or cheered about them. I think if anyone knows me, knows my distaste for Tottenham is pretty deep rooted. It's one thing in life I can't hide. I'm not very good at hiding it. I try to be as impartial as I can on this, but I can't be with Tottenham. I just have that issues. And so when this is on the calendar, this is always the one I have circled as this. I don't care what you do all year. This is the one I need you to win. And you know what? Forrest got a great start the other day. Thanks to Vicario in goal, clearing the ball out, put his defender under pressure. Sangari picked his pocket, and Callum just had a field day with that goal. Again, why do we have goalkeepers trying to play the ball into an area where there's a defender and an attacker? I don't understand. Excuse me. It doesn't make any sense to me.
We've seen a few goals like that this year. No,
that's a lot. It's this
time. There's a time and a place.
Like Pep. Yeah, absolutely. It's not, and and if you look at it, and I was frustrated. And I say I don't like Tottenham. I'm fairly open about it, but like the cameraman kept showing it as Gray's fault, like he made the mistake, the defender made the mistake. It's not. It's on the goalkeeper. The goalkeeper can see in front of him, right? Why he doesn't just clear the ball down the field and don't put Archie Gray under such pressure? I don't understand why he does it. And then Archie Gray, is under pressure from the moment the ball's played to him. And then all the camera did was focus on Archie Gray like it's his mistake. It's on the goalkeeper. And, Forest, hey, that was a Christmas present. So that was the first one. The second one, Callum Hudson-Odoi whips in a really delicious ball to just after halftime towards Igor Jesus, who played outstanding. He didn't score, but he played very well. And again, the goalkeeper, who's got clear sight of it. Sean, you'll know this as a goalkeeper. Like, you got clear sight of it. His footing's wrong. He's in the wrong position, and it curls past him. He gets fingertips to it, but Callum's just like, I can't believe that went in. And it's 2-0 after halftime. Spurs were awful. Let's be honest. Forest were given 2 Christmas presents early in this game, but Spurs were awful. They looked awful. I will say Romero looks like a train wreck waiting to happen every time I see the guy play in their central defense. Pedro Porro was more interested in trying to start a fight with everybody than he was actually defending or playing. And then he came out after the game and said the away fans deserve better and the away fans needed this, and just big up in himself. But at the end of the day, he was awful too. And then, I think Forrest really put the icing on the cake with an absolute worldie from Sangari, who is under Sean Dyche is starting to look more and more like the player Forrest thought they were going to get 3 years ago when they signed him. And he's been absolutely outstanding for the last 3 weeks. Lights out. It's an absolute shame the stupid AFCON is on and we have to send him off to that for 6 weeks, because I'm sorry, I hate any international tournaments that go when other leagues are on. You hear me gripe about it in the MLS. You hear me gripe about it in the Premier League. I hate it when they can't just all organize it at the same time. I just don't understand. So it's a little frustrating to lose a player that's in such good form to the AFCON.
I do get it, and I understand. I also understand why in a region in Africa why they have it this time of year, right?
I do too, but it's so
similar
bloody
to why they had to have the world. Yeah, right. It's weather conditions, right? It's cooler, better for the players to be playing in this time of year than it is during the summer. And we're gonna, with the World Cup coming to North America this summer, in some parts of the U.S., it's going to be horrid. The temperatures during June, July, when you're getting the heart of the sun. So, anyways, I have a question for you, since we're on Spurs and how bad they're playing. And I like Thomas Frank. I think he's a talented coach. And that is it. Is he on the hot seat? He has to be potentially the next coach to get fired. Potentially. Like,
he moved up to the number 1 spot last night in all of betting who had the 63% chance of being the next coach fired. So
it makes sense.
I don't know. I listened to Spurs fans today because one of the things I do generally enjoy is when Spurs lose, listening to them complain. It just makes my day. And so I listened to a lot of stuff today. I listened to a bit of Talk Sport today, and I was laughing at the amount of takes that everybody's like, he needs to go. He's got no tactics. I generally don't think the players are with him. And I think he needs to get rid of some of the players in this team if he is to survive. To your question, is he on the hot seat? I don't think he is with the club right now, but certainly with the fan base, I think they're turning on him. But I also think the players aren't listening to him. If you may have seen, I posted a little short today of Jed Spence, who really didn't endear himself to Thomas Frank yesterday, because when he came off, he was not happy about coming off, which I don't understand why he took him off, because Jed Spence was probably the best player for Tottenham on the pitch, and he took him off, which made no sense to me. The logic was bonkers. He then brought on Ben Davies, who's like 100 years old and offers nothing going forward. I just felt Thomas Frank's decisions yesterday were bad. I felt his energy was bad. And Jed Spence was just openly sat on the bench. You can see him where he's just looking at him going, what are you doing? Yeah. And it's the same time that 2 weeks ago I mentioned it, he had the same issue when you're at Chelsea, and him and Mickey Van Ven just ignored Thomas Frank when he told him to go and, clap the away support again. So I just don't think they're listening to him. I just don't think they're buying into his system. I think there's definitely you've got maybe 4 or 5 players that definitely are, and you've got 4 or 5 players that clearly aren't. I just, at the end of the day, last thing I'll say on this is Jed Spence got a standing ovation from the Forest fans. So I don't think that went down too well either. So, but at the end of the day, Thomas is, I think you see, if it's not lukewarm, it's going to get hotter this week if they don't, because they've got Liverpool, right? So Liverpool seems to have come back to life.
On the road.
I think I don't jinx you there, but I think it's I think their Spurs are home.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. But either way, I'm not going to try. I don't want to jinx it because, Liverpool have had some it's hard to predict with this team. I mean, if you look at in all competitions, we haven't lost in a bit. Right, we've had some draws in the Premier League. We had that win. We had technically 2 back-to-back wins, Champions League in this thing. So we've had some good results. So I'll take that for what it is. But I still have some concerns, especially with a couple players that got some knocks in the last game. But we're not really going to be touching on Liverpool. We'll go through all the scores at the end of everyone we don't focus on. But next,
what I would say is, hang on. Let me just say one thing. I got to talk about Forest for 1 second. They did look against Everton. They got absolutely outclassed, and they didn't turn up. They didn't put a shift in. And one thing you saw yesterday was an absolute shift. They've got some injuries. They do miss Chris Wood. Igor Jesus has been, his work ethic and his work rate was fantastic. Amari Hutchinson was outstanding yesterday. And Callum Hudson-Odoi just showed, the reason why Bayern at one stage wanted to pay 50 million for him. So I thought Forest were much better yesterday. They didn't look that great in Europe this week. They looked a little bit, they got a late winner in Utrecht. But I thought Forest's shift yesterday was fantastic. And I actually thought, the work rate and the effort was what got them the win in the end of the day. That and a couple of Christmas gifts from Spurs too. So, no, shout out to Forest. First time they've been decent for a couple of weeks. They've been on a bit of an up and down roller coaster. And then, it's just, it's nice to get back to winning ways. And it's nice when everybody else around you loses. So it gives a little bit of breathing space. But, I think, a good week. Hopefully we can continue it.
That is it for match week 16. We will be back for another episode next week. As usual, if you're not already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And of course, smash a like, leave a comment, give us some feedback. I'm Sean, that's Noel. Anything else, my friend?
That's it. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll talk to you on the other side.
All right.
Later.
Take care. Peace.